Captain Midnight.
This video is brought to you by Brilliant. So, the news broke a while back that Henry Cavill is leaving Netflix's The Witcher and being replaced by Hunger Games and Independence Day 2 star Liam Hemsworth. This news was, to put it mildly, not all that well received by fans of the show. And honestly, I didn't think I was going to make a video about it. After being mildly let down by The Witcher Season 2, I had kind of moved on from the show a bit. But after seeing the trailer for the upcoming Witcher Blood Origin, I realized just how heavily invested Netflix seems to be in making this franchise work and continue on, which is now a pretty risky move, with the de facto lead of the series unceremoniously leaving between seasons. So this week, I wanted to tackle The Witcher, and the question on everyone's mind, if the show can continue to thrive or even really survive without its star. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and give this video a like if you'd like to see more videos on The Witcher, or just Netflix shows in general. There are definitely examples of shows being able to continue well after recasting their leads. Star's Spartacus is the first one that comes to mind for me, where the show was forced to recast Andy Whitfield in the titular role in the last two, mostly very well received seasons. Of course, the circumstances there were very different and far more tragic, with Whitfield being diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma and unable to return. Network shows, of course, do it all the time. People can come and go from the cast of Law & Order and CSI and play different characters, and it all works just fine. I think what makes The Witcher feel unique, and angers fans more than your average TV recasting, is 1, let's be real here, Cavill's performance is probably the best thing the show has going for it, and 2, he's been so openly passionate about this show, his character, and especially the source material. And he's leaving all of that behind, presumably because returning to the role of Superman will simply take up too much of his time. I don't want to speculate on how much of Cavill's decision was purely a financial one, but I'm sure starring in multiple DC movies would pay a little more than leading a Netflix show. Still, it definitely came as a shock considering how much of a cheerleader he's been for The Witcher since the very beginning, lobbying for the role before they were even casting. Which leads to the other very obvious question, is Cavill leaving due to disputes behind the scenes? That's impossible for me to answer, but of course there is some signs that it could be the case. Most famously, there's Beau DeMayo, head writer of the upcoming X-Men animated series revival, who in an Instagram Q&A said, "I've been on a show, namely Witcher, where some of the writers were not fans or actively disliked the books and the games, even actively mocking the source material. It's a recipe for disaster and bad morale. Fandom, as a litmus test, checks egos and makes all the long nights worth it. You have to respect the work before you're allowed to add to its legacy." That quote led to a lot of unhappy Witcher fans, who were already upset at many of the show's deviations from the source material. I think it's pretty possible that Cavill shared a lot of those feelings. He's given interviews about trying very hard to keep the show close to the novels. It's more than possible he felt they weren't living up to these books and games that he obviously holds in high regard. But is that a definitive answer? Definitely not. I don't think we'll have a clear answer for a really long time. I mean, something important to keep in mind here is there's still an entire season of the show starring Cavill that we haven't seen yet. If that season turns out to be a disaster, well, I think that would shed a lot of light on his choice. If it comes out and it's great and finally feels like every element of the show clicked into place, it'll make the whole thing even more sad and strange. And remember, it's not like season 3 is just around the corner. We're talking about the summer of 2023, with Witcher Blood Origins coming out long before it on Christmas of this year, so it'll be a while before we get any sense of Cavill's final season as the character. It's also possible that Cavill was perfectly happy on the show, but Netflix themselves wanted to significantly cut the budget with a more affordable lead actor. Speaking of, maybe we should actually talk about Liam Hemsworth. I've seen a lot of people assuming that he'll be terrible sight unseen, and I've never been particularly impressed with him, but I'm gonna try to keep an open mind. There's a pretty huge difference between being a boring love interest in something like The Hunger Games and being the lead of a show, and I'm curious to see if there's some hidden depths to him as an actor that will get a lot more chance to shine here. Of course, he's definitely not stepping into the easiest job. No matter what people think of the actual Witcher show, it does seem like Cavill's performance is near universally praised, which means that Hemsworth has a real uphill battle even if he turns in some solid work. Now, there are fan petitions to bring Cavill back that are gathering tons and tons of signatures, so maybe there's a very slim chance he could return, but I think it's fair to say that that's not likely. So assuming Hemsworth is the guy post-season 3, what could be done to ease this transition and set your new lead up for success? And here's where I get to the part of the video that's maybe a little controversial. I know book fans have gotten mad at the show over and over again for changing things, and season 3 will probably continue that if the Wild Hunt do actually play a huge role in it like it looks like they will. I enjoyed season 1 quite a bit for what it was, season 2 a little less so, but it's undeniable that stuff has changed from the books, and maybe thinking of this show as a straight adaptation of the novels just isn't the smartest way to go about things. Assuming that season 3 has a pretty definitive ending and not like a big cliffhanger, I think it'd be smart to go back to basics, and use the original Witcher short stories as well as some of the well-written side quests in the games as a source of inspiration. Basically, tell more standalone stories where Geralt encounters all new kinds of people and monsters somewhere else in this world. I don't think you can just shove Hemsworth into the middle of a highly serialized story with the rest of the cast and expect him to not stick out like a sore thumb. To pull this off, I think you almost have to treat Geralt like you're introducing a new character. By that I don't mean that the show should assume that audiences aren't familiar with the character at all, but absolutely build him back up. Give him some great, stripped down monster hunting stories that solidify his take on Geralt. If season 4 starts and it's a slow-paced episode that concerns itself with just picking up the threads from season 3 and table setting for exciting stuff down the line, I really think you'd be setting Hemsworth up for failure. If you give him some well-paced, exciting, and mostly standalone episodes that deliver Geralt at his monster hunting best, I think he has a chance. He needs some scripts that aren't bogged down in endless exposition or long cutaway scenes to other characters. I think planning the season as if the lead didn't change could be a huge disaster. I mean, this is the main character of your show after all, and audiences will be understandably skeptical about the new Geralt. He needs tense and exciting new problems to solve, a chance to show why they should accept and love this take on the character. Basically, I think they need to dial back the location hopping and heavy serialization for a while and focus on highlighting what Hemsworth brings to the role. The show's new lead will have to earn the audience's goodwill all over again. There's just no way around that. So hopefully, they set up Hemsworth on the best possible foot to do just that. It's clear that Netflix sees The Witcher as a big marquee franchise for them. They've got a spin-off miniseries coming out soon, and have already done an animated film. That's all well and good. I actually like Nightmare of the Wolf quite a bit, but The Witcher as a whole can't afford to treat Geralt as an afterthought. That character is the linchpin to the rest of this world, and Cavill did a great job of making the case for why he's so beloved in 2 other mediums. I'm more than willing to give Hemsworth a chance, but I really hope The Witcher is smart about how they introduce him. If they treat this as a really simple, easy swap out, I think audiences will reject him immediately. But if you rebuild the show around his take on the character, with some solid scripts, I think he could really surprise people. Back when I was in school, I considered fantasy novels kind of an escape from the math and science classes that I dreaded. These days though, I'm happy to say that I can appreciate both. STEM topics aren't really scary anymore, thanks to Brilliant. Lately, I've been working through their computer science fundamentals, which is paired really well with everyday math. That's where Brilliant shines, helping you discover the pace and flow that works for you. Brilliant is all about helping you tackle science, math, and computer science concepts in a highly interactive way. There's thousands of lessons here, with new ones being added constantly, and spending just 30 minutes a day or so on them is both fun and builds your skills, without any of the stress. Plus with Brilliant, you can really learn and dig into this stuff without breaking the bank. So go to brilliant.org/midnight and try it for free. And the first 200 people to go to that link will get 20% off the annual premium subscription.
Here's a special tip for the fellas and girls who have not already joined Captain Midnight's new 1940 Flight Patrol. You'd better hurry up and join at once, because there's a big adventure ahead. The thing to do now is to get started, because we're going to have not only barrels of fun, but loads of free gifts and prizes, too.